All right, I think it is time for us to get started with the first Fun and Interactive podcast of 2019.
That's awesome, man. I think this means this is season 5, which is a huge milestone to have reached.
I'm pretty sure that with global warming, we just have one long season forever now, right? Like we don't have seasons. Like it is
That's true.
it is January here in Michigan, and normally I have like a foot of snow and at least one ice storm that has
Yeah,
knocked out my power, and instead it has been like 45 all week, and we're wearing shorts.
yeah.
So
That is 100% true, man. Like we usually get a shitload of snow here in Denver, and we got our first like reasonable snow last week, and it's sitting around 35, and it should be a lot colder.
yeah, so I think that just like our climate, we now just have one long season for Fun and Interactive Podcast forever.
Hopefully, season 5 is a good one. It was a great it was a great season of the Next Generation.
Oh, so I
It was
guess
kind of
we.
when Lost jumped the shark too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
So I guess we should do the obvious thing, right? And say, what did you do for the holidays?
Well, I'm glad you asked, man. I saw seals. That was the highlight for me. But Sandra and I went to Seattle. We had a blast. We went to Mount St. Helens. We went to some other parks. Walked the beach. Did the fish market thing, and I took a photo of her in front of the Hard Rock where you and I were at for PAX West. Then she gave a very disapproving look.
Yeah, I remember seeing that photo. These seals that you met, were any of them kissed by a rose?
They were not, but you're also like the fourth person who has said that when I excitedly described my interaction with seals.
Well, I
No, they
mean,
were great. I mean, ever since they broke up with that German supermodel, like they've been swimming in the ocean a lot, so there were no roses involved.
fair enough. Fair
What did
enough.
you do, man?
I survived. And,
Oh
and
yeah,
and when I say that, you can just imagine the Robert Downey Jr. Tropic Thunder gif, right? You know, we stayed at home, celebrated with the kids and
yeah,
extended family, and holidays are typically a pretty not like fun time to be around me. I
sure,
Grinch is like putting it lightly. It doesn't do
yeah,
a whole lot for my mental health, and I know that yearly, but I
yeah,
survived. The kids had a great time.
that's good.
Good Christmas. Family came over. We had, no fights or anything. So
You know,
that's all I can ask for, really.
I saw a very svelte photo of you in a onesie.
Yeah, that is correct. When we had my wife's family over for Christmas, we were doing it like as a pajama style thing. So I wore a giant purple Twitch onesie all day for that,
That's great.
um, to establish dominance.
No, of course. I mean, are they Twitch partners? I think not.
No, I'm wearing my brand new Discord partner shirt that I got. Every year they send you like a little GIF. I do that
That's
so you
really
can maybe
nice.
see it, right?
Yeah,
They send
that's
you a
really
little
nice.
gift, and that's what I got this year, and it's very comfortable.
That is very nice. You know, on that note, I was declined my application for Discord partnership just last week, which I accidentally applied to while looking to find the Twitch partner Discord. Somebody told me a couple weeks back about the Twitch partner Discord, and I couldn't find it, but I did find the application for Discord partnership, so I applied and then forgot about it. And I got the lovely email explaining to me that I just wasn't a great fit.
Yeah, I still don't know why I am one, but I'm proud to be one because I do love Discord as a platform and I use it for everything.
Yeah.
I also finally got into the Twitch partner Discord after your help. So for those of you who don't know, this is
That's
100%
right.
true.
Yeah.
Um,
Tech support, Justin.
when you link your Twitch account and your Discord accounts together, you get certain perks, right? Like if you have access to Discord servers for being a sub to somebody's channel, for example, or access to certain emotes and things like that. And one of them, if you are a Twitch partner, is you get access to this Discord server where you can like ask for help and do things. And I did not have access, and I had tried like re-linking my account, and it did not help because every time I was on mobile, it would not show up in the connections. And when I was using the desktop app, it would not show up in the connections. And then I was talking with Aeolus, Sophie, and I was talking with Justin Larson about my plight. And I literally had a thought. I said to myself, what would Justin do? If Justin has access to this, then how did Justin find it? Because the thing you have to know about Justin is he does everything through a web browser. And I mean everything. On his phone, he goes in a web browser to Reddit. He doesn't have the Reddit app. On his phone, he like goes to the Discord web browser. He does Discord web browser like at work. No apps. So I said to myself, hey, I bet Justin went here through the web browser. And sure enough, when I went that way, the connection was showing up for me. So something wasn't syncing with my apps, but then that finally worked for me. So I'm now in.
I'm sorry. I don't know why, but I found that whole story like as I was happening, I was laughing my ass off, and I'm still laughing now.
Yeah, I mean, it is really funny, right? Because it's one of those like of all of the people who would need tech support, it's right. This isn't the scenario, the dynamic that you would expect, but here we are. All.
That is so funny.
So. Besides just the holidays, we actually had some legend stuff that happened since the last time we did one of these shows, right?
Yeah. I mean, the entire Festival of Madness is probably something we should talk about today. Yeah. I have to imagine. I mean, it got a lot of reactions from people as it was going on. You know, I mean, and mixed. I will say mixed because there were some people really enthusiastic about some of the stuff coming out, and there were parts of it that I really enjoyed, and then there was some stuff that was less popular. Let's put it that way before we get into exactly what they said.
Yeah. So, you know, festival, random deals. Oh, deals.
Yeah.
Each day.
Some of the deals were absolutely wonderful, especially if like you're a free to play player.
Yeah, some of the deals were straight madness.
Absolutely. You know, it's just like a handful of gold, like literally like 10 gold for a bunch of packs or whatever, you know, some soul shards. Those were great and have to be the kind of thing that if you're, you know, somebody who's not spending any money in this game, you know, free shit basically.
Yeah. And before we talk about what some of the deals were, let me talk about what wasn't included. And I'm a little bit disappointed, right? So if we're going to talk about disappointment, let's first talk about the stuff that wasn't included. This first one is going to be an incredibly minor gripe, mind you. But no Christmas gift.
That's true.
Right? No holiday gift whatsoever. And I say this because, like, listen, a lot of those deals you could say were a gift. Like you said, like 10 gold for 4 packs or whatever it was is absurd. Yeah. That might as well be a gift, right? Like you can sneeze and get better value out of, or get, your sneeze will cost more. Anyway, the point here is that like some of those are great, but no Christmas gift, right? Like I would have expected something. There was a lot of other, we'll say competitors that did like something for the holiday, and you know, there was nothing there other than the Festival of Madness. But the other thing that's really disappointing, we know from bugs in the past that there were some updated voice lines for Greybeard Mentor that had a holiday theme. And we did not get a holiday themed Greybeard Mentor, which I would have thought would have been the gift, but even if it wasn't, like it was never offered. So in many ways, this holiday season, I feel like, not even counting the deals, we still got hosed out of a really cool alternate art with extra sound cards somewhere.
That is very true. That is very true. I was really disappointed by that specifically. I mean, I gotta be honest. I don't celebrate Christmas. It doesn't register for me. But the Greybeard is something I was looking forward to. I mean, alternate art is like my like indulgence in this game.
So about that alternate art.
Yeah, you want to start there?
Sure, let's start there. We had some that popped up.
I want to say that okay, so the first deals with alternate art that came up were the reissues of the Grand Melee Rumble alternate arts, right? Up until this point, some of the rarest cards in the game. You know, the alternate art Lightning Bolt and Piercing Javelin, I think, were both re-offered, unless I'm not mistaken.
I was Gatekeeper as well, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Because that was a Rumble one as well.
That's right. These were cards that were available for like one weekend if you sank 1,000 gold into a Grand Melee. You got them, you know, whether you went 12-0 or 0-12.
Right.
and they did a good job with those cards of picking like sort of just super ubiquitous cards. Those were available for the second time, right? Yeah. Well, I guess one of them I think had been available for a second gauntlet, but
yeah, Javelin. Javelin had been around more than once in the past.
But they offered him this time for, was it just cash or was it cash and gold?
I don't remember. I didn't end up purchasing it myself either way, so.
Right. But I mean let's as we bring up each deal that we discuss, maybe we should each just weigh on how we feel about it. And this one I'm totally on board with.
Yeah. I mean I am too, because I think that they should just be available all the time.
I'm like 90% with you. You know, it was kind of cool to be like, hey man, I got the alternate art lightning bolts. You know, like I love playing alternate art. I play all the alternate art versions of every card. But I also see what you're saying. I think that if you're the kind of guy who's a collector, it must suck balls to not have those things available all the time.
Yeah, and have no alternative way to get it, right? Like if you play Magic, right? There's a lot of stuff that you could only get at certain events or whatever for Magic, but like I can still go to secondary markets and pick that up. And then in terms of Legends, there's other alternate art cards. You know, you think of like the Leaf Lurkers and some of those things that are always available, right? If you're a new player who joins today, I can go get that sweet alternate art Leaf Lurker like now.
And maybe we should touch on the history of alternate art cards too before we get into this, so we can have some perspective on what these things have cost traditionally. I think we've had 2 bundles of 3 cards each alternate art, right? There was the one that came out around the same time as the Madhouse collection, which was Stonetooth Scrapper, Ash. What
Servant?
Fuck? Ash Servant was the card that inspired Doomcrag Sorcerer, and dude, what was the other one in that set? It was those 2 and something else.
It was something else because it was the only one that was like actually playable.
Oh no, it wasn't playable. I mean, it's been played historically a long time ago, but it's a 3/3 with Prophecy and Guard and green.
Yeah, Black Sap Protector. I literally played that today.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
It helped me get a daily done.
Right. So those were the 3 I think in that set, and that was our introduction to alternate art in Legends. And that was $5 for those plus some packs.
Wasn't there one for every color though? Because isn't Sharpshooter Scout in there as well? And that's red.
I don't remember where Sharpshooter Scout alternate art came from.
Yeah, I'm putting your face up on my screen, so I can't actually open Legends and look at the moment. But
okay, category okay, here we go. Historically, these are the cards with alternate art. Crushing Blow was available in the Mad Prince pack. So Mad Prince pack was, oh, okay, we've got this all fucked up. The Mad Prince pack was Crushing Blow, Sharpshooter Scout, and Hive Defender.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And
but those were the other colors that I was trying to think of. I thought they were all part of the same pack. So then when they did the next one, they covered cards from the other colors. Because that was neutral, strength, and willpower. And then the next time around, they hit agility, endurance.
Yeah. December 14th, 2017, they released for the holidays the alternate art set of Alduin, Master of Arms, and Leaf Lurker. And that was $15 for 10 Skyrim packs, 10 core packs, and those cards.
Right. So for $15, you got 20 packs, a premium legend, 3 premium epics.
Yes.
And then another 3 premium epics. So that's a lot of value in that one.
And the Mad Prince pack was $5 for 5 core packs and the 3 alternate art cards: Hive Defender, Sharpshooter Scout, and Crushing Blow. And back then, Crushing Blow was played quite a bit.
Yeah, it was. Believe it or not, gang, there was a time when Crushing Blow was almost an auto include in every deck. Like it was pretty near ubiquitous because you needed to kill 4/3 werebats really badly.
Right, definitely. And then the other set had, dude, I do not know where alternate art Ash Servant came from.
That's what I'm saying. Ash Servant, I know, came in the same one that had Scrapper.
That must have been around the same time as the other alternate art set.
Yeah, is it possible that it also comes in there, but it's just not on the graphic? Because that's one of the other things about our deals that I want to note, is that they don't show in the graphic all of the cards you get sometimes.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's in the starter pack. It's in the starter pack. The starter pack gives you the title, The Founder.
Mm-hmm.
It's $5. Gives you 10 core packs and Stone-Tooth Scrapper, Black Sap Protector, Ash Servant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. So there were 3 alternate art packs of 3 cards each, 2 at $5 and 1 at 15.
1 at 15 that gave you 20 packs, a legendary, and 2
Right.
play
So
sets of epics.
it
That
would have been
play.
a good deal without the alternate art cards.
Right.
Okay. And then the other alternate art cards were available through Epic or Grand Melees.
Grand Melees, yes.
Okay. And those were Javelin, Lightning Bolt,
Morkel Gatekeeper.
Morkel Gatekeeper. And then the Esoterica is Grizzly Gourmet was available for 3 days as a reward card for logging in this February of 2018.
Yep.
Laneth was available for pre-ordering Clockwork City.
Yep.
And Swims at Night
is a reward
for finishing the epic version of
Clockwork City.
Yeah,
you get it for beating master difficulty, which if you need help with, there's a really good YouTube series that I can recommend. Though some of it's probably out of date because a lot of those cards have been changed now.
They just have to be easier now, right?
No, some of them are easier. Some of them are more difficult. Because like I don't know if the puzzles are still bugged for one, but then on top of that, there is the like issues with like Skulk costing 3 now, which changes because some of those master difficulty things are ones where they give you a deck, and Skulk was like in some of those, and that kind of changes how it plays out, right? Like the scenarios where you don't get to build your own deck, because with those you can always just figure out a new strategy, but all of the ones where they're like, here's this deck to overcome this thing. If cards were changed due to balance reasons, but those never get revisited, sometimes it does make them more difficult.
I honestly hadn't thought about that. That's a really good point. Oh yeah, and Zenith Dragon mentions Premium Night Mother was given as a pre-order incentive with Dark Brotherhood.
Right, but it was not alternate art. It was just you got a premium one for...
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
For free.
Well... So when they reoffered the Grand Melee ones, that seems cool.
Yeah, no, I think it seems cool. One of the things that I'd like to point out, and you're going to notice the theme as I talk about it, I do think that things should probably be available at all times.
Right.
And if they really wanted to get like cheeky about time limited stuff, then one of the things that I really like about Magic, for example, is that when they release a new set and you go and you participate in like pre-releases, you get foil, aka like their version of premium cards for attending them, but they'll put like a date on there. Like it'll actually say like the date that the set release is on there, and you get like a special version or whatever for attending the pre-release. But then like you can still always get versions of that card in foil forever on, but there's just like this little date thing. And so for me, when they do these things that are tied to like tournament events, you know, like the Rumble, I think it would have been better if they would have given people some way to acquire the alternate art cards, but then maybe, you know, they throw like a little shiny timestamp on it or whatever.
Okay. I think that's a pretty cool idea. I like that.
You know, or do something in the flavor text that we don't have yet.
I do want me some flavor text. I will say that.
I didn't know that I did. Here's the thing. I only remember the funny ones from Magic, and I'm not much of like a super huge lore guy in many other games, and so I didn't even know that I wanted flavor text in this game until I started playing Artifact, because I knew exactly 0 of the Dota lore, but I have spent more time than I'm willing to admit, like in the card menu, hitting the play button and having the voice actors read the flavor text to me for some of them.
That is cool.
And after I saw that, I was like, I want this in Legends, because I would care far more about it in an Elder Scrolls universe. And
now, if I'm not mistaken, I know a little bit of the lore from Artifact. if I'm not mistaken, there was a man named Axe who was a trader in digital currency, like a bit like bitcoins, and recently his investment has just plummeted, and I think he's actually homeless now.
Yeah, Axe coin has definitely dropped in value, but
Yeah.
the good news for Axe is he has many talents, so he has a fallback career plan.
Okay.
If you actually listen to his specific lore in the game, he will tell you he's good at the murder talent.
Okay. So now that he can't rely on banking and digital currency trading, he's going to get back into murder.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's good to have a skill.
Yeah.
All right. So, should we go over the history of card backs too before we get into this? I don't know.
I mean, you might as well there since you're on the screen. They're
All right.
kind of like alternate art, right?
Right. So card backs, alternate art card backs, were introduced during the Direwolf era. I'm trying to sort these chronologically, and I don't know how to do that. But you got some for you got some for completing puzzles. You got the default one. You got one for purchasing the Dark Brotherhood, although it was retroactively given to you. It wasn't given to you when the Dark Brotherhood was originally released. And like I said, there's a couple for puzzles. You get the Elden Root, the green card back by purchasing anything in the store. Yep. There was an Atronach bundle at one point, which was $10 for 2 card backs and 5 core set packs. Mm-hmm. That was the blue and the red. And then there are 5 card backs available for winning 30 games with each of the Houses of Morrowind houses. There is a Houses of Morrowind card back for purchasing the Houses of Morrowind starter pack, which was $5 for the back, 10 Houses of Morrowind packs, guaranteed legendary, and the title of the Nerevarine. There's a card back for having one of every copy of every Houses of Morrowind card.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one super rare one.
Right, for getting your drops during E3.
Right, for watching the Bethesda E3 thing. And that one was not released, though, until Sparky Pants took over the new client.
Right.
But you had to have been playing back in June.
Correct.
And that was all of those, I think. Oh, and when the new client launched, everybody got one. The Alm City one.
Yes.
Okay.
So historically, card backs have been $10 or significantly less.
Right. And the only card back that was gated in any way was the E3 one, which, I mean, I personally use it just because I think, it's cool, it's rare, and we had a really good time that night, Mystery Science Theater 3000ing the entire event.
Yeah.
But, and that one's never been released again.
And it may not be. We don't know. They might do it again for E3 this next year. Who knows?
So you talked a little bit about how you think that alternate art cards should always be available.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the same thing about the E3 back?
Yeah, I do. Listen, again, like I said this on Twitter, and I understand that this is likely the result of some mental disorder that I have, right?
Right.
But
we've actually had a conversation about that.
I have quit many games in my lifetime because I missed something that was time gated. Because what happens is when as a collector, somebody who's grown up collecting things his entire life, cards, comics, like books from a series, like you name it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I enjoy a level of completionism. I'm also that person that does like every side mission in a game so that I get it to say like 100% complete. I'm the guy that has like 400 hours into his Final Fantasy game because I wanted to do everything. I'm just that guy. So there are times when I'm invested in a game because I have like 100% completion, if you will. And the moment that I miss something because of a window, and this happened with like Overwatch for a time and Hearthstone and a number of other games that I can like provide examples for, but the minute I miss something, what happens is, you know, right or wrong in my brain, I go from like, I'm giving this 100% of my attention and time because I'm 100% in it so far, to, well, now I've missed this thing that I cannot get back. So now I have no incentive to put the same level of intensity in my interest in the game. And even on a small scale, this happens. Like, let me give you an example. I've logged into Legends every day this month, and I will do my best to do it through the entire month to get the Legends rewards. But if I miss a day, my logins for Legends in your average month, and I'm just being honest here, will go from like, I missed, you know, 1 day to like I missed 10. Like, it significantly drops off because I no longer have the carrot, right? If I don't have, like, at that point, like, it's just, okay, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't, right? But if I have that completion or the ability to obtain it dangled in front of me, then I'm just mentally invested more. So
Sure, absolutely.
You know, I do think that it should be something that's available, and I think that I mean, listen, whenever games, so here's the other side of it, right? When I think about like a new player experience, whenever games have a lot of history and a lot of content in them, it can be very intimidating for somebody to want to get in. And if somebody were to join Legends, you know, today, right now, and like hop on the ladder and they play against Mr. Justin Larson, who's got his card back that, you know, is from E3 that they can't get. And then Justin plays like Madness Beckons and a Cheesemanster against him, and the person like, well, okay, those cards are cool, how do I get those? And then they realize that they can't get those cards, and then they you know, they have this like repeated, hey, there was this thing that looks cool, or is this thing that I wanted to try but it's not available, then they might be less inclined to push through, right? Is that everybody? No, but you know, there are people that are like that. So I do think there is at least some value in having ways to obtain things at almost any time. I think that like phasing things out just feels it feels off. I'll put it that way. I'm trying to not be ultra harsh here, but it feels...
I understand. And we're going to get into, I think, some more stuff that you have some strong feelings about. And I think it's important that you share those feelings because, you know, you and I have some difference of opinion here. And I really want to make sure that we address this honestly.
Yeah. So, for example, like somebody in chat said, how have you coped with collecting Magic cards, or do I have all of them? Fun fact. I have maybe 400 cards on the floor of my office right now for Magic, and then I own nothing else. I've been playing Magic since 1994, but there was a time when I sold off part of my collection to help pay for my wedding. And since that moment, even in something like Magic, where I know that I can go back and like re-get those, even just the act of like that concession, right? Saying like, hey, I've set myself back. That was the start of my disengagement from competitively and actively playing Magic. Like I stopped going to Friday Night Magics. I stopped traveling for events. You know, there's and again, like I know it's something with me, right? But there is like a psychological trigger that just kicks with me that says, like, if I'm no longer 100% invested in this, then it is way deprioritized in my mind, and then I'm putting far less focus on it. So
sure.
Yeah, there was a time when I had like, you know, play sets of everything. Like I had Power 9 stuff, and I had I think at the time the only thing that I didn't own was a Blue Hurricane, because those were crazy rare and crazy expensive. They were a misprinted version of Hurricane that was on a blue card.
I actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like I didn't have one of those because at the time they were just incredibly hard to find, and this was like, you know, eBay was still pretty much in its infancy, so I hadn't even tracked one down by then. But yeah, like, I mean, it's the same thing with comics, dude. I used to have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of comics, and then, you know, now I have like some graphic novels of the stuff that I like to reread or whatever, but it's just, it's not the same because I've like mentally de-invested from it, I guess.
Speaking of comics, last year I sent you a couple graphic novels as a Christmas gift. And then this year you declined my Christmas gift offer.
Yeah, well, you heckin' bamboozled me last year, because like I was trying to send you a gag gift. Well,
Yeah.
that was what started it. I just wanted to send you a gag gift, and then you sent me a real gift, and then I felt bad about it. So I wasn't even.
And this year you just would like. Can we talk about this year?
We can talk about it, sure.
All right. So on December 22nd, they offered the first of the brand new premium card backs.
Mm-hmm.
It was $50 for that red thing, right? Or was it the blue one?
I think
it was red. It was red.
It's isn't it the hollow jack up the prices? Isn't that the name of it?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said to Derek, I sent him a message. I said, how do I put $50 on your Steam account? Because this is what I wanted to do for Christmas for my friend. I wanted to buy him his card back because I know he's a collector.
Yeah.
Why don't you take over the story from here, man?
Oh, sure. I have no problem. And my wife is probably going to roll her eyes or laugh from downstairs or some mix of the two. But I basically said to Justin, under no circumstances will that happen. And Justin, you know, being the guy that he is, because he's a wonderful human being, said, no, this is happening. You just need to accept it, like all good rapists say. And I said, no,
dude,
I do not. I said, I do not give you consent to do this. But he doesn't believe in consent. So he's like, no, this is going to happen. This is going to happen, he says. No, you said you wanted me to tell it, so now I'm telling it. So he says it's going to happen. And I said, listen, if you do this, this is 100% real. I took screenshots of this exchange. I said, if you do this, I will film
because I figured out how to gift money to your account without your consent.
Well, yeah, he did. So I said, if you do this, I will film myself deleting Legends and my account, and I will post it to YouTube with the title, Justin made me stop playing Legends. And he was like, for real? And I was like, 100%. I would do this without blinking, without remorse, because I have it's the principal protocol. And my wife knows the minute she hears the word principal, it's like, just bail out. Because I grew up stubborn. You know, I'm an addict, right? I don't talk about it super often, but like I'm an addict and I come from a family of addicts. And I'm also incredibly stubborn. And I had, you know, an alcoholic, abusive father that I don't, you know, I mean, I don't hide it, but it's not like a topic of discussion a lot. But it has caused me to be very, very stubborn once I dig in on something, like hard. And all rational goes out the window. It's not even like what I would consider to be an emotional response, because like it's not even like emotion is involved. I'm just dead inside, but I am not budging. Like it is locked at that point. And so Justin was like, okay, I hear your words.
No, there was like a 5-minute pause.
There was. And
I said something like, I don't think you would actually do that. I said something like, I'm like 50% that you would actually delete your account, I think is what I said.
Yeah. And I said you may want to talk to my wife about this, because I needed somebody that wasn't me to like tell him, but then he acquiesced. I do want to say real briefly here, George or Jorg, I'm probably slaughtering it either way, in chat had just like became Santa Claus. It just gave out a huge number of subs, and the notifications don't go off when I'm recording the podcast, because we do put up the audio version of this on like iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play, and so I don't have the audio stuff going, but I do want to acknowledge that, because that was a massive number of subs, and so I do want to say thank you. That was incredibly kind.
That was awesome, George. Thank you very much for that. Derek needs every penny.
I just to pay for therapy, apparently.
Fuck, dude. Right, so that's the story of how the Grinch here did not allow me to give him a Christmas gift this year.
So look, just like, let's be 100% like transparent. I don't like receiving gifts. I did talk about this a bit in my Discord. So if you guys are in my Discord, you probably saw. I grew up very, very, very poor. Like we moved 16 times before I graduated high school. And as a result of the moving around, it was because we were just being evicted from places. And that's not counting times when I didn't have a home or times when I lived with family. You know, I'd stay with a grandparent or whatever. And throughout that, again, like I come from a family of addicts and things like that. And so that had a lot to do with it as well. But my mom used to go all out for Christmas every year. And when I say all out, I don't mean like, you know, she bought like one big gift that like tipped her over her budget. I mean, we would have so many presents in the living room that like you couldn't walk across the floor. I mean, insane. I think the first time my wife ever saw my mom do a Christmas, she was like shocked at just the sheer volume of stuff, right? But when you're young and you're little and you're like still somewhat bright and you figure it out, you very quickly realize that like if it was my birthday or it was my Christmas and I get all these like extravagant gifts and then like a month later we don't have power or heat or running water or we're evicted, like it only takes a couple of years of that for you to put two and two together. So I instead of learning to enjoy Christmas, I developed this very long-standing guilt. And so like when holidays come, so that's why earlier I said like I survived, right? When holidays come around, I become very, very grumpy, very, very irritable, and it's just not a very pleasant time for me because it is like a reminder. It's like a reminder twofold. Like it's a reminder that I'm supposed to be enjoying it, but I don't. And when everyone else is having fun and you're not, that like adds to the stress. But then also now that I'm a parent myself, there's an added layer of stress because like I want to make that experience be good for my children and obviously much better than mine. And but then I have to be aware of like I'm trying to not be grumpy in front of them. So like when I say things like I survived or whatever, like I don't like Justin giving me gifts. It's not like I'm like trying to be a dick. Like I love Justin. It's just that like my birthday and Christmas, like my birthday, I try to skip it. I think I've had like 3 birthday parties in my life and I'm 34. So like I try to skip it. And when Christmas comes, like I, kind of almost in many ways purposefully become hard to shop for where I just don't give people ideas. So, yeah.
Well, I want to say, Derek, you provide an amazing life for your kids. And they're going to know that growing up.
Well, so far.
Yeah.
You just wait. Like, I just gave my job notice. So pretty soon I'm going to be jobless, guys. I don't know if you heard, but bird is the word. But also, so is quitting my job. So
I have heard.
I mean, I've got some interviews coming up for some other positions that'll hopefully be a lot more flexible, but I've had a lot of casting opportunities open up recently, and my current job was not going to be flexible enough to accommodate that. So,
well, you obviously have a webcam, so if you're interested in some flexible positions, you and I can talk off stream.
Yeah, no, I am DTF, as they say, down to friend you.
Cool.
So all of this comes back to our first big flashy card back that Justin was, again, so kind to try to gift me, and I do recognize the kindness. It wasn't like it was just there was some like mental trauma that was causing irrational thought there. But Justin was very kind enough to try to give it to me, and it was a $50 card back. So again, historically, the card backs were a lot cheaper.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say up until till this, you could have spent like I think less than $50 and have everything, all the alternate art stuff.
I don't know if it would have been less than 50 because in order to get the Clockwork City one, you had to at least buy that with cash. Like you had to pre-order that.
Oh yeah, was that $20?
Yeah, I think that one's 20.
Okay, so pre-order that for 20, 15, 5, and 5. It's $55.
Yeah.
So $55 up to that point would have got you all the alternate art in the game, assuming you had played in the Epic Gauntlets.
Correct.
Okay. And and you had to buy the puzzle, but you could buy that with gold. So
right, you could do the puzzles with gold.
Okay. And then suddenly we have a beautiful looking card back, and it's $50, and it's available for 24 hours.
Yeah.
I would like to start with like my problem with this, because like I am not a collector. That part doesn't, that part doesn't bother me, I have to admit. And I didn't even think about how it would affect other people until I started talking to other collectors, because like, unlike you, I haven't spent time in comic stores, and I never really played other games. So I never developed that impulse. Although I do, kind of collect books.
Yeah.
But my problem with this is 24 hours. Like, okay, so people make really irrational decisions about money in general, right? But there's a lot of evidence that suggests that when you put a time limit on something, even if that time limit is like 30 days or 6 months, if there's a ticking clock, a ticking time bomb in the background, people make like dramatically, like exponentially worse decisions about their money. Like the lottery and stuff like this. Like people just do not do well with making financial decisions, especially when there's some kind of time limit involved. And $50 for an alternate card back, only offered for 24 hours. There's a small, and it is a very small segment of the population, but there's a segment of the population that is, this is like heroin is to them. To them, this is like heroin is to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you will fuck your life up and, like, spend that $50.
No, 100%. Like, the urge was strong. And I think that was why I had the reaction that I did, that, like, ended up triggering what I call the principal protocol, was because I had that discussion with you, and, obviously I gave some feedback direct to CVH, because I believe in direct feedback, starting there first before I start, like, tweet storming or whatever. Because here's the other thing. I want to be clear, right? If you guys have followed Justin and I for like any length of time, or if you've been around since the very beginning of Legends, it's really rare that I am like critical about something. So it was it should be clear how like much this upset me, or how passionate I was, because there's been times when like other people were doomsaying and I didn't doomsay. There was a lot of times when like people were on an anti-drops crusade, and I was like pretty quiet there as well. It's really rare that I speak up about anything, but you're
usually the guy who talks me off of saying something stupid.
I mean, I don't know about that. I wasn't going to word it that way, but yeah, like I'm usually trying to be the more rational one, but it's much like Justin said, right? It's a 24-hour window, which triggers certain like tendencies in people. This was, they didn't say when or if it would be back. I mean, they eventually, CBH said like it'll be back sometime in the future, but they don't know how or when, or in what capacity. Right. It was after. It is also worth noting this was after Cheesemancer had already came out as well, right?
I figured we'd address the two cards.
Yeah. We'll double back to the cards, but this was after something else that was pretty much. Targeting that same, like, this is only available for 24 hours crowd thing. Yeah. And this was like 4 days before Christmas. Right? Yeah. So, like, it was really, in my opinion, not only was it like rough that you were doing something this expensive, but it was kind of tone deaf, in my opinion, in timing. Because if you knew the Festival of Madness was going to be this length of time, like, either make it afterwards, right? Because maybe some people are getting gift cards or whatever as Christmas presents, and they would have been happy to use them on that. Or maybe if it's the beginning of December, they haven't spent all their money on gifts or whatever, right? But like this was in a target time period window that just felt incredibly like exploitative to me. So again, it's very, very rare that I am negative, but I was not a happy camper.
No, absolutely.
I was not happy at the time.
No, I mean, honestly, your feedback, the direct feedback you offered, was the most sternly written thing I'd ever seen you say.
Yeah, I was pretty worked up.
Yeah. So that happened, and then 2 days later, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was like 3, but it was like Christmas Eve or whatever. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
it happened again.
It happened again.
Yeah, and that was the blue one, which I think looks a little cooler actually. I don't know. I like cool toned colors. But anyway, and that was the Sigic card back.
Yeah,
and that was also $50.
Correct. And I don't even like, I'm going to be honest, I don't even have a problem with the price tag necessarily. And that was part of the feedback I said. Like, if you want to make some things just be expensive for the sake of being expensive, like if you want to make no packs involved, right? Like if Bethesda says tomorrow, we're going to offer a card back and it's $100 and it's only the card back and it's just a giant fucking money sign on the back. Have at it.
Hold on, I'd buy that.
Right. Have at it. But don't make it a 24-hour time window. Or if it is going to be time windowed, like, then give us, like, say this will be back quarterly, right? Or say this, like, let people know when the window is going to be or something. Because,
of course.
Otherwise, it felt, like, incredibly exploitative. So, like, I didn't have a problem with the price.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest with you, the only way you could exploit that niche of people worse is to tell them, like, let's say it's December 1st, and I'm like, hey man, on December 27th, for one night only, you're going to be able to spend $50 to buy this thing. that would actually notch it up into these people are incapable of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, there are a lot of troubling things about this, you know, and whether you come at it from a just purely like taking advantage of people's poor mental health, point of view, or disincentivizing future collectors point of view, it was not ideal at all.
Yeah, and I do want to follow this up with, I don't want this to sound like I'm upset that we have to start paying for things. Because Justin and I, very publicly, both on this podcast and in other places, have said for a long time, give us an excuse to give you money. But when we were saying those things, we were expecting it to be very similar to the deals that we had already received, because those all felt very fair and measured. And, you know, Legends has always been considered to be like pro player, like economically friendly. And so if they would have just continued that line instead of going 0 to 60, like it wasn't even a slow transition. They literally went from, like, you know, every deal was $20 or less to, in a 4-day span, we gave you two $50 deals that were time limited. They didn't even lube us up, man. They just started giving it to us whether we liked it or not, and that was very troubling.
I think we can go even further. Like, you and I are not only willing to have said, we asked Pete Hines directly to let us spend money on the game. But not only that, they also give us free shit, and we still buy this stuff and give that stuff away.
Yeah,
like,
it is worth noting.
We don't even need to spend money.
Yeah, it's worth noting when we get to do some of our content creator related things. You know, I like to be honest. Bethesda is kind enough to give us codes, right? So, like, they gave Justin and I a code for Clockwork City and a Dark Brotherhood, and we could have just used those codes.
Yeah.
But every time that we've ever received those, both Justin and I have used our own codes to give away to other people and just paid for it ourselves, because we believe in giving money to the game that we love. So like, it's when we say give us an excuse to give you money, like, we've been trying to do this, but then to go to, you know, this very tight window of, like, huge costs for seemingly far less benefit without a lot of, like, warning and thing, like, it just felt bad at the time, you know? And and again, like, I'll admit, like, it was partly compounded by being a really bad time of the year for me mentally, and there's some other things there. But it didn't feel good. And I think we saw that in the community. There was a lot of people that were upset by it.
Absolutely. So that was the alternate art. Well, not alternate art. Those were the card backs. I think maybe we talk about Golden Saint next, because I think the third issue is kind of a much more complicated one.
Yeah, I think the third one is the most offensive one for me personally. But
so then alternate art Golden Saint came out 2 days after the Sigic one.
Yes.
So this was like the day after Christmas, and this was 15 core set card packs and the full set of premium alternate art Golden Saints, and it was $20.
Right. So,
and I'm full disclosure, I bought this one.
Yeah. and I had skipped this one at this point because I had already missed some things, and so again, like once I'm like mentally de-invested, then I don't feel the need. So
now I will in my opinion, this deal is, I think this deal would have been, I would have no problem with it if it was always available. It's pricier than the other alternate card art, but I think it's also of a higher quality than any of the alternate card art, except maybe Alduin. And 15 packs, $20 for 15 packs in a beautiful alternate art card. That's a price I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like when you and I in the past had said like, give us more excuses to give you money. That's what we were looking for, stuff like that, or new avatars. That was a thing that you and I have both said to Pete and CVH on several occasions.
Yes. So I in like, aside from the 24-hour window, this deal seems fine to me. Again, the 24-hour window, my complaint is just once again that there is a segment of society of humans that cannot make rational decisions in these circumstances, and it's kind of exploitative. I don't know that it's, I don't want to be so cynical as to think that it's engineered to exploit those people. I find it, maybe it is, but I just don't believe it is. I think that, I don't know. What's your thought on this? I need some insight here, because I try to look for the best in people.
Well, yeah. Like I said, like can we also just like real quick, because this also is something that I want to touch on, that's going to sound even more asinine and like I have mental issues, but there was also some titles.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because I think some people forget that like there are some of us that have spent hours grinding out Centurion and doing other things just because we wanted to collect all of the titles in the game.
Yeah.
And there were some titles associated with some really large purchases as well. And again, something entirely minor, entirely cosmetic, but it was something that I had enjoyed collecting all of them in the past. And much like the alternate art and much like the card backs, we're missing out on those as well. Like very specifically, there was a tweet after the Festival of Madness had ended where I was kind of trying to express how I felt overall. Before Festival started, I could say, I have access to every card in the game. I have every card back, every alternate art, and every title in the game. And I can now say none of those things are true as of right now, recording this. Right? Like that's just kind of, that makes me feel kind of bad. It's a bummer to me. Yeah.
I understand. I'll be honest, I had forgotten about the Cheesemonger title.
Yeah, there was 2 titles.
Yeah, the other one though was not gated by cash only.
Right, it was gold. But so I want to mention this, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the 2 cards that we're saving for the end. But many of the gold deals for the things like the titles or the card backs or whatever were such a large amount of gold that you couldn't grind that much gold in the 24-hour period. So if you weren't already a veteran, right? If you weren't already a veteran and hadn't saved up for it, then saying like, well, you could have got it with gold doesn't matter, because I didn't get Madness Beckons, for example, because I did not have the gold to purchase Madness Beckons. I'd spend a bunch of gold at earlier deals trying to get Premium Legends, because I again, that was something else I was working on. I was trying to collect all of the cards in Premium.
Well, I mean, to be fair, and we've kind of touched around, like you are like, in some ways, the prototypical guy to whom these deals are a problem.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I know. And I know that I'm in the minority, but
and that's okay. I mean, it's just, I think it's insightful to have you sharing your experiences about this, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, when Madness Beckons came, I didn't have enough gold to buy it, and like I did the math, and I think that one was available for 2 days, but even across 2 days, if I did all of my dailies, if I hit gold cap for 3 wins each day, like I didn't have enough that I could make it in that time. So I did not end up getting Madness Beckons either.
So to recap the titles, it was the Cheesemonger available on day 41, which was like the 29th, I think. For $70, you got 25 core set card packs, 35 Houses of Morrowind card packs, 30 Heroes of Skyrim card packs, and the Cheesemonger title.
Right.
Right. And that was 24 hours, $70. And packs that, you know, that another, like, you know, structural problem I have with this is that if you are someone who has been playing forever and has been asking for ways to spend your money, you do not need 75 fucking packs of cards.
Unless you're me and you're trying to grind out premiums like I was before. Yeah. You know, then I was like, oh sweet, I get all this dust too. But you know, getting one expensive deal like in a month, you know, maybe I can mentally swing that. But when, you know, that one came after two $50 card backs and like cards that were, you know, 15 or 20, and like it was just too much in such a short period. Sure. Like, you could have taken all of these deals and spaced them a little bit better, I think. Like, they blitzed you at the end of the month.
And then, real quick, let's touch on the New Year's Resolution bundle, which was 3 core set card packs, 3 Houses of Morrowind card packs, 3 Heroes of Skyrim card packs, 1 core set legendary card, and 1 premium Houses of Morrowind legendary card, and 1,200 soul gems and the title The Morning Star for 2,000 gold or $19.99, $20. This is another one that I think is totally appropriately priced. It just should have been available all the time.
Yeah.
And I full disclosure, I bought this one too, but I used gold.
Yeah.
The only one I used cash on was the Golden Saint one, which didn't let you use gold.
So now let's talk about the cards, because this is the one that I had the biggest complaint with, and I was trying to articulate this the best way that I could. We had Cheesemancer and Madness Beckons. Right.
So for 2,000 gold or $10, same cost for both, you got a premium card.
Right.
And in the case of Cheesemancer, you also got 8 card packs.
Yeah, I think you got packs with Madness Beckons too, but
yeah, you got 4 packs with Madness Beckons.
Right, and that one's
no, you also got 8. I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong.
I think it was like 4 of each or something like that. So it was like,
right.
But so again, these were time limited. I believe with these ones you had 48 hours. So these were a 2-day window.
Yeah.
But again, just if you're trying to get it with gold, 2 days is not enough.
Right.
So
600 gold plus 2 quests is like 700 gold.
Right. So, you know, the 2-day window, while seeming generous, is still like not enough for you to grind it if you were trying to do it with gold. And this is my chief complaint here. First, let me start by saying I thought these were great ways to kind of like give you sneak peeks or previews to upcoming content. I was perfectly fine with that.
As far as previews go, I think it's genius to introduce cards like this into the pool.
Yeah, I thought that this was at least neat for them to try something different, right? Anytime somebody tries something out of the box, I'll at least give them credit where credit's due, and I like that.
And introducing 2 cards, which are very explicitly just like meme cards, is
maybe. Madness Beckons is seeing some play in Unite decks.
I've played it in Unite, man. It's not nearly as good as I'd hoped for.
Well,
but either way, like like for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. But
just meme cards.
Right, just meme cards. But, and here's my chief complaint. These, if you're really trying to use these as a preview and you're really trying to use these to drive hype for the new content, I don't understand the time limit. I don't understand why this isn't something that's just available all the time to encourage new players to be excited. And even further, these 2 cards now set a new precedent for Legends that did not exist before. And this is what I was trying to articulate as best as I could when I gave the feedback that I did. Up until now, so as of recording this, if you were a new player who joined the game and you just started playing, you had the ability to acquire any of the cards in the game.
Yeah.
Now, it might not mean that you could get them quickly, and it might mean you might have either pay money or grind a lot of time or grind a lot of gems. You know, some of the monthly reward cards are only available through crafting, and that can be burdensome, but at least they were available. As of filming this, as we record this right now, if I'm a new player starting the game and I want to play with Cheesemancer or Madness Beckons, and it doesn't matter, in my opinion, if they're competitively viable or not, because they're fun cards. They're the kinds of things that people might enjoy.
The kinds of things, like, there's a huge overlap between people who would want these cards and people who, for instance, are interested in my content.
Yeah, and that was actually the example I used in the feedback that I gave them. I said, listen, you know, if I'm a new player to the game, I've been playing for a week or two, and then I come across this guy named Justin Larson who has a cool video, you know, on his YouTube channel, and he's playing Madness Beckons to, like, win with Unite, and then I'm the new player and I say, hey, that looks fun, I want to go do that. I'm going to be really disappointed when that's a card I just plain don't have access to. Now, I do expect that both of these will come back in some capacity. I do expect them to eventually be available. But I do not like ever having a precedent set where not all of the cards are accessible. And if...
That was my huge... that's been a huge problem for me for a while now.
Yeah.
And it was, like, like, rarely do... Like, I go on a lot of, like, silly crusades about things that, like, I'm passionate about justice-wise, because I struggle to help myself there. But it sparked in me one of the rare instances where I get outraged about something Legends related and start, like, talking about it, and was just, you know, spam to people with, like, hey man, let's ban these cards need to be banned from all competitions, because you're, like, if I start playing Legends today, I'll never have Cheesemancer.
Yeah.
I was on fucking vacation when I made all those posts. Like, that's how incensed I was by this.
And again, like, I understand these aren't necessarily, like, the strongest cards. They're probably not the sort of thing that people even really want to bring to a tournament lineup. But that being said, I actually did, I belong to a number of Discords, and I actually had somebody ask for a ruling on whether they were going to be available or not, because somebody was planning on bringing a deck that was running Madness Beckons. So, but again, like, whether or not they're competitively viable, in my opinion, it kind of doesn't matter. It's that it's disenfranchising to potential players if, you know, other people get to play with the cool new fresh stuff and they have no way to access it.
Yeah,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. Like, you know how Magic has, like, every year they send out to, like, 500 people who are on their nice list a Christmas-related Magic card?
Yeah.
Right. It would be like those are allowed in tournaments. And you can never sell your copy. Right.
It would be... yeah, you know, it would be something like that, right? I feel like there was a couple of card games that did something silly like that. I'm trying to rack my brain back to, like, 90s physical trading card games where there were some, like, ridiculously low print runs for things. Like, Magic actually had that for a while. Now that I'm thinking about it. So Magic did this set that was very Asian themed. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of it now. But it was the set that had, like, horsemanship in it. And it was not released...
Portal 3 Kingdoms.
Yeah, right. Portal 3. That's exactly what it is. Like, Portal was pretty widely available because that was created to try to bring in new players. It was like a beginner's version of Magic. And then they did a follow-up to it, and it was Portal 3 Kingdoms. I just couldn't think of the name. But it was, like, very Asian-themed and had horsemanship. And in that set, and it was something that was just not widely available, they ended up printing, like, 1 or 2 cards that were crazy powerful for Type 1 play, vintage play. And... they skyrocketed in price.
Imperial Recruiter.
Yeah, that one was one, and then there was the Black Tutor that people were using. So yeah.
Hey man, I play a lot of Legacy and Vintage Cubes.
So yeah. So I know what's going on. That's very similar. I mean, at least in those instances, there was the secondary market, but that is still a very similar thing where they're like, hey, like, these are available and they're, you know, competitively. Like, you can bring them to tournaments and whatever, but not everybody, like, realistically or feasibly had access to them, right? Like, that's a pretty close comparison.
Yeah. Except this is worse.
Yeah. Because there is 100% no secondary market or way to get them.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Outside of, like, you know, hacking... breaking federal law and getting yourself sued by Bethesda. There is no way to acquire these.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's our Festival of Madness recap.
I do want to say, though, right? Like, the Cheesemancer and Madness Beckons were so close to being, I think, honestly, like perfect promotions.
No, I really liked the
So close.
idea of
Yeah.
like using them as teaser cards. I just I kept saying over and over and over again in some of the direct feedback I was giving. I don't have a problem with the moves. I just have a problem with the time window. Like that was always what it was. It was like I don't care if something's expensive. Like I don't care if you want to do teasers this way. Like all of this stuff is actually pretty great. I'm fine with it. But like 24-hour windows or 48-hour windows is silly.
I think, I mean, and granted, like I don't know shit about business, right? So I'm not going to pretend that my ideas are going to make Bethesda any money. But I would have just, hey, you log in on December 16th or any day after that until the end of time. Here's a copy of Cheesemancer.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like, it got me, like, more hyped up for Isle of Madness. Same with Madness Beckons. Like, I want to play with some of those cards. I want to bring Doomcrag Sorcerer back.
Oh, it's going to be a thing.
No, it's not.
I mean, it will be on your channel.
I say this as a guy who's going to fucking play it. But like, yeah. And you know, it's like this, man. Like, I will admit, like, when Cheesemancer came out, I didn't voice any concerns about the time limited availability, like the time availability limitations on it, because it had been so goddamn long since I'd seen a new card.
Yeah, you were just excited to go play with it. You weren't thinking about ramifications.
I jammed it into a fucking deck that I was already running full of memes and played it on the ladder like that night, right? It was terrible. It had like none of the abilities that card could have had anything to do with what that deck was doing.
No, I mean, look, I did the same thing. I was like, let's go throw this in Centurion and see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like,
I mean, it's pretty good in Centurion. Actually, all of the abilities it can have are pretty good.
Yeah, and so then, you know, the day after, when the dust settles, and I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I don't actually like how this feels.
Right. Okay, so all that said, I have seen a lot, frankly, a lot of the new premium card backs on the ladder since they got released.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of them. Certainly more than I've seen of the E3 ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that's the reality, right?
A lot of people bought this shit.
A lot of people bought them. So you can expect more of it. Like, that's going to be my moral here. You know, I am, you know, struggling with the new reality. This is the way that I'm going to put it, right? But I also recognize that in the end, I'm one guy that's part of a minority, and so I have to accept it. It is what it is. This will continue to happen. I'm not saying like Festival of Madness will continue, but this is our new reality, and it's just what we have to work with now. And you know, my only plea at this point is, like, if I have to pick one hill to die on, it's make sure that everybody has access to the cards. You want to do the other stuff, like, that's fine. I'm already disenfranchised from the collecting at this point, you know. And I want to say this real quick. A lot of the feedback I got, you know, after I shared my views as a collector, is that I don't understand why you're angry at this. You don't have to buy it. And let me tell you what my problem with that line of thinking is. You're right. I don't have to buy it. But if the goal of the person that is trying to get my money is for them to train me to not buy things, that feels like the opposite of what you want to be accomplishing with your marketing. You should want me to buy things, not train me to learn to not buy your things. And I'm telling you, I was more likely to buy your things when you did this the other way. And now you're saying, well, you don't have to buy it. Well, great. Mission fucking accomplished. Now guess who's not buying anything? Because I've now learned, I've been trained, I don't have to buy it. Right? So, like, yeah, I got that feedback a lot, guys. Don't think I didn't see those messages. But that's also not the message you want to send. So let's be clear about that.
Can I ask you some questions?
You just did.
How about some follow-ups?
Also allowed.
Thank you. in February, let's say, they add the 2 premium card backs and the Madness Beckons to the store for the same price they already sold them for, but now they're like, hey, they're here permanently now. You purchase them?
I don't know. Like legitimately, like I've already asked myself that, right? Like if it comes back, I don't know. It'll probably depend a lot on like my finances and my mood and my state of mind at the time. But I don't. Right now, the wound is still healing or adjusting, if you will. So I don't know.
Okay, and one more follow up. Are you going to use cash for whatever the fuck the expansion is? Isle of Madness?
Yeah. I also do not know yet.
Okay.
I have already started doing my dailies for gold and saving it up on the off chance that I elect not to, because I haven't made the decision yet. So right now I'm leaving my pathways open.
Okay, that's totally fair, man.
But I just wanted to say, like, you know, that was something that had crossed my mind in my rage-induced holidays, was like, if you're trying to train me to not buy things, well, like, that just feels like the opposite of what you want to do there. But I mean, I still love Legends. Like, I'm still playing it. I'm signing in. I'm playing games. I even tried out the new monthly card. We haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. We got a monthly card, right? Archer got an okay card.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah,
it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not meta defining. It's not Sower of Revenge, but it's not bad.
I think you definitely play it in some Archer decks.
Yeah, I was trying really hard to make it work in this like really bad Pilfer Hlaalu, because it technically like also has Pilfer, and I wanted to run it with Master of Thieves, you know.
Yeah, I do. I know,
but
I've tried it too.
I only got it to like be successful in a very like aggressive prophecy heavy Archer, and then that ended up taking me like I played a couple games in casual to get a feel for a list I wanted, and then when I played it, I went like 7-0 right out of the gate to go straight through rank 5 to rank 4 with it. So that's been pretty good.
Pretty good at beating down.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not a meta defining card. It's not amazing, and the number of decks that want to run it, like, it's in a weird spot, right? Because it's a good rage target, but there's just better rage targets, and it's a good aggressive card, but in most decks there's just better aggressive cards. But that's why I said, like, for me it found a home in a very aggressive but prophecy heavy version of Archer, because in Archer right now, in my opinion, there's not like a bevy of ultra amazing 4-drops, and so you can fit a couple of them in there and not feel terrible about it. The breakthrough actually mattered for me a couple of times, because it turns out there are still people playing Tree Minder on the ladder.
Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors. Telvanni. Yeah, it's a thing. So.
Yeah, I agree with you about the 4-drops and Archer thing. It's one of those things like I put it in a deck and I recorded with it, and it was an aggressive like deck that curved out at rage, right? Like with the other rage targets were like, you know, it had the bog lurcher thing, and it also had belligerent giant.
Okay.
And it wasn't bad in there. And when I was looking at 4-drops put in the deck, when I remember thinking about this as I'm building it, I was like, all right, like, do I want to play Moonlight Werebat or do I want to play Dushnuk Yal Archer? And that was about it. And those aren't like great options.
Right. And certainly not like in an aggressive style deck. So like when I was doing that prophecy Archer deck, it was literally like, you know, Lumbering Ogrim, which you could make a case for.
Absolutely.
Or what was the other? False Incarnate. It draws a lot of comparisons to that because of the similar stat line. And you could make an argument for the Lumbering Ogrim. I think it's very, very good, but because mine was like a prophecy style, just like Turbo Race, I was trying to value the breakthrough a little bit more. And like I said, it was good.
Yeah, the breakthrough is the only reason I think the card is acceptable. It pushes it past False Incarnate.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's fair. I was excited to see an Archer card. I mean, I think now that means we do have a full set of class monthly reward cards, right?
Well, I mean, we got a mage one recently. That one was, you know,
I think
part of the list. So we've had mage, we've had sorcerer, we've had warrior, we had monk with our protector,
Blackhand messenger for assassin.
Blackhand messenger.
Blackwood distiller for scout.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we've got them all. That Ulfric dude for Crusader.
Yep. Ulfric's Housecarl was pretty good for a while when it was a 3/4. I mean, you could argue that Battle Mage never got one, but the dragon is okay.
But you know what I'll say about that dragon, dude? That dragon actually hasn't, of all the monthly reward cards, has inspired me to build more stupid decks than I think almost any other monthly reward card, except maybe Blackwood Distiller.
I'll say this about that dragon: more than the other class-based monthly reward cards, I've won more times getting that dragon off Balmora Spymaster than getting the others off of Balmora Spymaster.
Dude, I agree. Every time I get it off Spymaster, which happens like a strangely like consistent number of times, I'm like, I wonder how many people have ever died to this card. yeah, I think they've all gotten on there.
Yeah, because Spellsword was Emperor's Blade. So now the real question is, do we get a new cycle that starts up? Because we've also, in that time period, we've got a couple of neutrals, and then we've got, you know, stuff for the single attributes. Are we going to start seeing tricolor cards, do you think, as part of the monthlies? I personally don't think so, but it is a question worth asking. Or are we going to see more stuff that is beneficial for single colors? I know some people had mentioned the idea of, you know, we got Mechanical Ally to finish the like ally spectrum, but then we also got Steam Constructor, which is the only card of its kind right now in neutral. Somebody had suggested like maybe we get the equivalent of a Steam Constructor, but for the cycle of the attributes, right? So like the red card that when you play it, if you have a red card in your hand, blah, blah, blah. That could be interesting.
I mean, I hope we don't get new 3-color cards. I'll be honest with you. Ever.
What?
Yeah, look, it's just how it is, man.
Yeah, more Dwemer, more Factotum. Factotum is another one that gets brought up a lot. I've heard people say maybe we get a 4-drop Factotum of some kind.
Yeah, Factotum would be pretty interesting. Do you remember the monthly reward cards from closed beta?
I do. This
is Legends trivia time.
Because they're like in the core set now though, right? But they were monthly records then. So like Smuggler's Hall, I think was one of them, or was that the first
Smuggler's
one of
Hall
our
was
open?
The first open beta one.
Okay, was Withered Hand Cultist one of them?
Yes.
So that one was one.
There are 5.
There are 5. Man, that was a long time ago.
It was almost 3 years ago.
I think here's the thing. I think Withered Hand Cultist is the only one that immediately comes to mind because I don't think the other ones were played much.
The other 4 are Mage's Guild Retreat, Staff of Sparks, Plunder, and Doggy Rot Mystic.
Yeah, I remember Plunder. But yeah, the other ones were not played very much. And the Staff of Sparks, if you guys are wondering, that I forgot about that one as well because that did originally exist as an epic, and that's why when we had the bug with the new client, it was back to showing as an epic. And
it also changed colors.
It changed colors because it used to be neutral, and Wabbajack was a blue card. But then they changed Wabbajack to be, as you know it now, and Staff of Sparks became blue. And Staff of Sparks as a neutral used to be really fun.
I played the shit out of it in Scout, man. I used to slap that on
Venom Tongue.
Archaic and Venom Tongue. I took Staff of Sparks, Archaic and Venom Tongue Scout to rank 1 Legend like a couple months in a row in closed beta. Yeah, Ian, I have that. Oh yeah, we got it the same day.
I have to call out Mac in chat here. How about dual colored cards, but the second color is neutral? Now on your first thought, you're saying to yourself, like that's just a strength card or whatever. But I like where his head's at because it could potentially count for neutral synergy, opening up you to maybe play things like the Dwemer. I actually like where your head's at. That would be like the equivalent of like the colored artifacts that exist in Magic now. For a long time, artifacts in Magic had no color; they were colorless, and then they introduced in certain sets the idea of colored artifacts. That would be similar, right? Like a colored Dwemer would also be potentially pretty cool, or factotums.
I have thought that like one of the ways you could introduce new factotums without kind of breaking them, because I don't know how many more you can add. Is to introduce 2-color factotums.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think that's if you were going to introduce new ones, it would have to be like that so that you give an identity to whatever you are running.
Right. And you limit the mass total of factotums you can run.
Right.
Although it's amazing that we're talking about fictional multicolor factotum monthly reward cards, and it's something that tricolor decks kind of fuck up for us.
I want to call out like factotums and Dwemer as being really interesting because on the one hand, some neutral cards have been kind of like the bane of the ladder for some time, and they have kind of made certain deck archetypes feel homogenized.
Yeah.
But at least to their credit, in almost every case, Dwemer and Factotum, because of their smaller package, is almost always better in a 2-color deck. So they're one of the few archetypes that actually reward you for playing 2-colored decks, right? Like if you're running a Dwemer deck, you're probably playing like Spellsword or something, but you're doing so in a smaller deck because you want to draw your Halls of the Dwemer. If Factotum's the same thing, you're probably playing like Factotum Archer so that you can like cycle through your deck faster, get the assembles. So it is interesting that though they are neutral cards that in theory could also be problematic, but they promote 2-color decks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's open it up to the audience. This is the Fun and Interactive podcast. Let's do the interactive part. You guys can ask us questions about absolutely anything, and we will do our best to give you an answer.
Yeah, we're a little late on opening it up, but we had a lot of stuff to cover and a lot of tangents that we were on. So
yeah. By the way, I've managed to make it an hour and a half without launching another program while doing this.
Not only that, but you've made it an hour and a half without saying good times as well.
That's true. Have you seen my new emote?
I have.
Aeolus was kind enough to give me that for Christmas.
I have indeed.
There you go, Pete Crichton. All right, so Ozymandias, what about today's Abomination Scout Factotum? Scout Abomination Factotum. What am I missing here? Do you have any thoughts on this question?
I mean, I haven't seen that deck, so I don't have any thoughts.
Yeah, me either. Shunara, Charmer, I was wondering, do you know when Isle will be out?
Yes. Next question.
Yeah, good answer. Rebin Jam, what quality of life thing do you think is most needed in the game? In my personal opinion, I want gauntlets back. I think it's a quality of life thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would have just said like tournament support. If it's not in like, if it's not gauntlets or whatever, just like something that brings events like that back, just in general. You know what I mean? Events. Well, I wouldn't even call it tournament support. Let's just say events. We need events. We need something else. Yeah.
Ian Bit says, do you guys know of any tournaments happening soon with potentially with cool doggos as a mascot? I've heard of that, yeah. Drew Hoove asks, what deck do you hope most hope gets some love in Isle of Madness, and why is it Orc Tribal? Were there orcs involved in that expansion to Oblivion? Because this is based on Shivering Isles, right?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know. I've played through Shivering Isles, but I don't remember any orcs.
But here's the thing, though. Once you throw in Sheogorath, like, he can turn anybody into an orc. So you don't
That's
even.
true.
Here's the beauty of like an Isle of Madness style set or anything with Sheogorath. Like you don't need a basis in lore to do whatever you want.
That's true. I mean, the best orc ever printed came in Clockwork City.
So real quick, I just want to double check. Ian Bits, I believe your tournament's tomorrow, right? Like in place of when Warp Meta would traditionally be ran. So if you guys don't know and you want to participate or view that, Ian does have a tournament running tomorrow.
Absolutely. Silverfew says, Charmer, regarding your past, you talked about some tonight. What helped you pull yourself out of that hole and put on the facade of success that you have today? Don't worry, I didn't compliment you.
That's a good question. I probably the mindset that I'm not actually pulled out of the hole. It's more like a, and I think this is why I defer to like such self-deprecating humor all the time. Is like as long as I force myself to be, like even humility is not the right word, right? Like as long as I just force myself to view like I need constant improvement, then I give myself something to work on, and then lots of insomnia.
Fair enough.
Somebody said shameless pug, which would be my dog Oi.
By the way, I just learned how to time someone out.
Ban Shannara. Oh.
Right.
Somebody. So here's the funny thing. I know exactly the context of this question, right? Mayrune's Dragon just typed out, "Is it 2019 at least?" And my answer to that is going to be yes. Today is January 6th, 2019.
Yeah, it is. It is. How much gold does Charmer currently have in his Legends account?
Like 800, 900. No, I cracked 1,000 today when I did the one daily. I'm at like 1,000 something. Cool. I had a bunch stored up, but then during the Festival of Madness, because I have a premium habit and I was trying to get every card in premium, I blew all of my gold reserves on the day where they were like, buy as many premium legends. Like it had no cap. And so that's where all my gold went. So.
Fair enough. Chef Shay asks, do you know how many cards will be in Madness? Yes.
Yes. Next question. Where is our holiday graybeard mentor? I don't know. Man, that makes me angry, though. I was so looking forward to that.
Pirate Timmy asks, do I still have 100% collection or did I dust that card again? So it's been like an ongoing joke. I have a 99% core set collection because I always dust.
Nakreen.
I opened it on camera the other day and I have not dusted it yet. I have 60. I hit 60,000 dust and like I don't know. For some reason, like when I hit it again, I thought about it afterwards. I was like, I should just dust it right away. But then I was like, man, this joke's not even funny anymore. And most of the people who remember why I dust it all the time aren't even
you
playing
have
this game.
60,000 dust. Do you know that you can craft right now 5 play sets of legendaries in premium?
I could, or I could craft the entire next pack-based expansion.
I mean, I guess.
What else? What do we got here?
Awful lot of this message deleted in chat. Way to go, Shannara.
I didn't delete the messages, but maybe that was a side effect of timing them out.
Yeah, when you do the timeout thing, it like gets rid of all the stuff they had done recently.
Oh, my bad. By the way, I instantly untimed you out, Shannara, so you can keep talking. Are you saving 3k gold for Isle? Oh no, hold on. This is a trick question. Don't answer this question.
No, I mean, no, I think it's fair to address here, right? So it says for real how much gold is on Charmer's account. So if you're saving 3k for Isle, then you know the Isle date isn't close. I mean, that's not true because you can get like a minimum average of 350 per day, right? So let's just say if I want to get 3,000 gold and I already have 1,000, that's very obtainable in a short amount of time, and we've received no official teaser cards yet. And they usually do those for at least a week before something goes. So they're just because I have the ability to save before that does not mean that it is going to be a long time away. It simply means that we have not started the spoiler season quite yet.
Ian Bits asks, what is the funniest question you can think of with the answer looks like July? When is the new client coming out?
I would say the funniest question you could think of would be like, this corpse has been totally mangled. Is there any idea that you have whatsoever of who this could be? And I would say this looks like Julie.
Julie must not have been particularly attractive while she was alive.
No, she just had an identifying birthmark.
Oh. Any more questions, guys?
Oh.
Hold on, can I ban you, Charmer?
No.
I know that I gave you permission to ban me from my own Discord.
Yeah, that's okay. Justin is becoming a completionist slowly but surely.
I don't feel any kind of way about not buying the card backs myself.
No, it's actually funny. You're a completionist in your own way. You have the similar wiring. It just manifests differently. Like the fact that you went over a year always deleting Nakreen tells me that in some way some things matter to you. The difference though is that for you it's more about the how do I want to word it, right? It's like a flourish, if you will. Like it's a bit of like showmanship. Where for me, I'm trying to fill the soulless void that is my inside. So if I complete everything, then maybe I'll be a real boy, but not be Pinocchio. So it's just different, but it's the same mentality.
We get along, I think, in large part, our friendships like rooted in like our similar history of addiction.
Yeah.
It's just that the underlying mental health problem that we each have is a little different.
Right. A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm far more, I think, like cold and sociopathic, and you're far more like narcissistic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally upfront about it. Like I readily admit that I'm got a lot of narcissistic qualities.
My wife sends me this article the other day. This is how you know my wife is made for me, right? She sent me an article that just said you might have, I can't remember if it was sociopathic or psychopathic tendencies, but it was like you might have these if you really enjoy drinking black coffee, and it was from some study or whatever. And I was like, and when she sent it to me, I was literally reading the article while drinking black coffee. Yeah, because she'll always send me stuff like that. She sent me one a while ago because I have a really like poor sense of smell. It's really diminished for a number of reasons, but she sent me an article that was like sociopaths have a higher rate of a diminished sense of smell. It's always these like correlation, not causation things, but they're just interesting reads, and every time she finds one, she sends it to me. So
Bethesda hires you to make an additional card color and attribute. What is it? I don't think we need one.
I mean, it's luck because I want to have it based in the lore. And then I would actually, and here's the interesting twist. A lot of people are going to probably say something like, well, I hate that idea because I don't want even more RNG. But I actually think that luck is the sort of thing you can manifest in many different ways. And I think that luck would be an attribute where it allows you to control RNG outcomes. Because you're lucky, so you always get what you want out of it, right? So like luck might be a thing where it would be like a synergy attribute, right? And it would be something like if you pair it with blue and it says like get a random keyword, maybe the stuff in luck is like you get to pick whenever a random keyword would be assigned what it is or whatever. This is my very quick, like off the cuff, mind you. There's a lot of design elements you'd have to consider because you don't want too much screen real estate coming up for different things, and things still need to be mobile friendly and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot to go in there, but I do think that you could introduce luck, have it still be lore friendly, and then also still not have it just be RNG, but instead be something that's just based on like preferential outcomes.
Absolutely. I mean, the other option is personality, as far as like Legends, Elder Scrolls lore consistent stuff goes. And while like you could probably make some pretty interesting cards that do things that none of the like the current color pie, if you will, like doesn't address. I feel like increasing the depth of each currently existing color would be a more interesting exercise, in my opinion, because there's so much untapped potential in terms of like card mechanics.
Oh, well,
and there's some colors that are much flatter than others.
There's that, and also like when you create a color pie, you create that with the intent of it being that way for like the game's length, right? Like you don't purposely leave stuff out to add in later with another color. That's just not how it works, right? Like each thing has its identity, and then you build from within. So I'm not like pro add another color, add a sixth color, but if I was like told to, if somebody came in and said, hey, we're doing this, then I think that's the route I would go.
Yeah.
Angelus Solus wants to know, what's your favorite Isle of Madness card revealed so far?
That's a good question. I'm really fascinated by, I would like to see what the card looks like that says only one creature in this lane may attack each turn.
It's funny.
Cheesemancer.
Yeah, I was going to say it's funny because that's my answer as well. We don't know how it fully manifests itself yet because like publicly we don't know anything beyond that it was text on Cheesemancer. But anything that like fundamentally alters some of the base rules of the game, I always find intriguing, even if they don't end up being good. Like one of my favorite pet cards like ever is still Hidden Trail because it fundamentally changes the way the game like works.
It's true. It's a very unique card.
So that's the one that is the most interesting to me right now.
You remember when you and I were talking about Hidden Trail and Nyx Hound? Is that the card?
Yeah, I think so. The one that like when it comes into play, it shackles all enemy creatures or whatever with less power than it because I wanted to basically make that a giant snake for the board, but it didn't stack properly for the triggers. That made me so sad.
I wonder if that works differently in this client because I haven't tried it.
I haven't tried it either, but we tried it in the old client and it was
Okay, Frankie Hotdog says, what grade would you give Bethesda's marketing department? And then follows it up with, what grade would you give Sparky Pants? I'm going to go ahead and give Sparky Pants an A-. I like I think that the monthly reward cards and Frostspark have been pretty interesting, if not particularly flashy. And I think that they're compared the client today to the client when it was released, and it is night and day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give them both Bethesda and Sparky Pants a B. Just a B. And I'm going to say Bethesda's marketing department gets a B because I think that, again, even if I don't agree with them, I think that them introducing deals is great. And it's something we've all been asking for a long time. So, like, I'm happy that they're doing that. But I also know that, we've had some lulls in the game as well over time. And some things that I think could have been better capitalized on. So, I don't think that they're necessarily failing because they're making strides and doing stuff, but like they also, I wouldn't say have knocked it out of the park. Sparky, they've done a lot within the short time frame that they've had to work on things, and they continue to churn stuff out, and they're pretty responsive, but they also only get a B because they didn't hire me. So
that's fair.
The B is for bitter.
I thought the B was for beard.
Sure.
Yeah. Ian's talking about the battle creature from Cheesemancer's ability. Yeah, I think that like that ability as it stands printed on any reasonably statted card is going to be good. Definitely. And I'm excited to see it. And I'm sure it's going to be incredibly frustrating to play against too. Because at the right cost, you put that into a prophecy deck. And I don't want that to happen.
Going back to if you could introduce another attribute, a lot of people in chatter is talking about personality and charisma. I didn't pick that one because quite frankly, I don't want anybody seducing my creatures. I already hate like theft decks enough. I don't need your lusty Argonian maids.
Yeah.
You know, giving my board the clap. So no.
Can we talk for a second about that? First of all, I want to say that's not the direction I thought you were taking this. I thought you were going to make a joke about your personality.
No, that makes itself.
Yeah. But like that's what like led me to my follow-up question, which was, why did you choose Charmer as your name?
Because when I very first started streaming, the games that I was playing the most was MOBAs, and I was playing a lot of League of Legends, and I was maining Ahri, who is a character that you play in the middle lane, and one of her key talents is Charm. So like her big combo is she lands a charm and then like nukes you. And so that was my tag like when I was playing heavily in League of Legends, and it just kind of carried over.
Fair enough.
Silverfuse says Ahri is her cat's name, see?
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it was not at all because like I thought I was charming or anything. It was just legitimately I played a character and their key ability was called Charm, and yeah. Boy, did that backfire, huh?
I mean, it works out. You're certainly, I will say this about you, and this is one of like I think the qualities about your content that like I admire the most is you're very consistently engaging and reliable in a very positive kind of way. Even when you're like not having a great time, there's something very like you're like, I mean, and I mean this too as like the way you are in our friendship. Like you're just sort of like a rock for like a you know, something that I can consistently draw some energy from, and I like that.
Well, I hope it's the people's energy, since you called me the Rock.
Yeah, I can smell what Charmer is cooking.
I mean, yeah, I try to be. I try to be, you know, I try to be consistent because I think that when you go to extremes in either direction, it can just be exhausting. And I just mean like personally exhausting, right? Like I'm not going to say that I never get angry, but I always like to say like, I don't like to get angry or upset because it's just exhausting. Like I don't have the time to deal with that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Angela Soul says, we're at the 9-month anniversary of Heroes of Houses of Morrowind, and we still don't have a release date for the next set. That is true. Although we did get Frostbark, which, while again not flashy, I think is a really quality set of cards. You know, when you compare it to the other small sets, the Forgotten Hero collection and the Madhouse collection, it lacks punch, I have to say. You know, there are cards that you could like build a deck to support, like Deathhound and Apex Wolf and Destruction Tutor, but they're no, you know, Siege of Stros Makai or Uprising or Conscription or Altar or, you know, anything like that. Gardener of Swords.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big difference, right? The first two mini sets that we got were things that were creating deck archetypes, and Frostbark was supporting deck archetypes, right? So as long as you just view it through that lens, then I don't think it's, you know, as bad as some people make it out to be. But
no, I think it's a really great set of cards.
It's also worth noting that when Forgotten Hero Collection came out, and it was before Houses of Morrowind, a lot of those weren't like super fantastic either.
No, that's true. That's true.
Like Conscription only saw play because it was Journey of Sovngarde pre-nerf, and then once that got nerfed, then it fell off until after Houses of Morrowind. So
that's true. Shannara says, I don't see any energy in Charmer. He looks pretty dead to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I got that feedback a lot when I was casting the WePlay tournament. A lot of people said, like, does that guy like have any emotion ever?
It's funny because when you and I hang out, I think our like emotional energy level equal.
Oh yeah, I've always said that it's funny because you and I are almost like polar opposites in our well, I mean, we're very much who we are even when we're like on camera, but we're very much we go in opposite directions, right? Like I flatten when I start doing this stuff because I'm trying to be like articulate and make sure that my audience understands my thoughts and whatever. And you in person are actually pretty toned down, and then once you like go on, you're having fun, right? So that comes out. But like when I'm off, like I'm a kind of a handful to deal with. And it was kind of the same way at We Play. Like I looked dead on the camera, but everybody like there in Ukraine or whatever off camera kept telling me how much fun I was, and that they didn't understand why people, because they were reading Twitch chat too, and they kept saying like they didn't understand why I looked dead. And I was like, well, that's the feedback I get when I make content. But
yeah,
I think it's just more of like a person-to-person interaction thing. I think that's where I shine.
Brett Steinbook says, I like Charmer. I like hearing you talk out how you think through every move and how it affects what you can do next turn too. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Chef Shay says, Justin, how broken is Morag Tongue Aspirant combined with multiple Brotherhood Sanctuaries and the Night Mother? I would say not broken. Good. Definitely good. I mean, Brotherhood Sanctuary is one of those cards that, like, is not... I mean, it's definitely a build-around kind of card. But the payoff is either, like I'd say, like, 20% of the time, just fucking crazy, right? Like, just more value than your opponent can possibly deal with. And 80% of the time, it's the last card in the deck you want to draw, and you have like 2 of them in your hand, and then you hit a third one when your opponent's beating your face in.
There was a couple of quick questions that got glossed over related to other games. Silverfuse asked me where I peaked at in League. Single queue, I think I peaked at Gold once, but it was really, really difficult for me because I was maining like mid, but then my other, like my backup was always support, and whenever I got stuck playing as a support role, if it was with somebody I didn't know, it's always hard like solo queuing as a support. And then somebody else asked how's Artifact going. I'm still really enjoying it personally. I enjoy the style of gameplay and how it rewards adaptivity, and there's a lot of people that are still going to be providing an awful lot of tournaments. So even if you don't like Artifact, if you enjoy me casting, like I can't give specifics, but I will be in situations where you'll be able to view me doing that in the future.
Sweet.
Eotin says, you guys were both pretty positive after your summer visit to Bethesda. Can you give us an idea of what percentage of the stuff you learned back then have since come to pass? And was it mostly new client stuff?
I feel like I'll fuck this up.
Yeah. I'll say this. It's hard to give a percentage. A lot of it was related to the new client. A lot of it was also kind of just related as a like general future vision for the game. A lot of it has come to pass. Like, so stuff that is public now that we can talk about, right? Like the new client, the Master Series, right? Like we learned about that back then, and you know, potential. You know, I think back then they didn't have the name for it yet. They called it like future tournament support with like prize pools and whatever. But like that was, you know, we know now what that was referring to. So there were, you know, there's a lot of things that have come to pass, and then there are I'm comfortable with saying some stuff that hasn't happened yet, but I know is still on the roadmap. So we'll get there.
Yeah. Thank you for taking that one.
Yeah.
Ian Bitts wants to know why they held a tournament with American casters in a country that was under martial law.
Well, it wasn't under martial law when they scheduled it. And they had American casters. They actually had casters in other languages as well. But they had American casters because they wanted to hit a specific audience.
Look, here, no. I'll tell him the truth. You don't have to. You don't have to bullshit. Okay. Vladimir Putin is a huge fan of Hand of the Gods. Okay. So when Artifact got announced with this huge, tournament, like before the game was even in people's hands, just like Hand of the Gods, did, he got jealous. He got upset. So he, pulled some strings on his puppet president and, instigated some international, shenanigans and got the country put under martial law with the intention of having the tournament stopped. But Derek is not only is he an excellent caster, he's also such a fucking patriot that he marched into the country anyway and landed in the airport clothed in a cloak of American flags, kicked the shit out of the entire Russian army, and then proceeded to host an amazing tournament.
Fun fact, when I was flying from Germany to Kiev as part of my layover, I was on a airliner called the Lufthansa, and you're allowed to take a bald eagle as your emotional support animal. So that is, of course, what I took while I was draped in American flags.
Yeah.
I also, very loudly, with my 80s style boombox, played I Am a Real American the entire flight.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they had American casters. They're going to have it for future events. That was the first of 3 tournaments, right? That was the Mighty Triad Strength. They still have Agility coming very soon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And the Intelligence or Intellect one after that, so. And let's see. Soderfuse asked, am I still feeling good about Artifact's longevity? Yeah, I mean, listen, Legends is still here, right? It's a big IP from a big company, and it might have not performed as well as Bethesda had initially hoped, but they have faith in it, and we're still getting content there. As far as like a comparison, Artifact may not have had the big splash that Valve had hoped or wanted, but it's still a big IP for a big company. They've put a lot of time into it. I don't think that they're gonna like abandon it. It's Valve's first game in years, right? It's not like this is just a quick thing in their catalog. They're not like publishing games left and right the way Bethesda is. Like, this is, for all intents and purposes, in the immediate future, their baby. So I think from a longevity standpoint, things look good on the Valve end, because I don't think that they're going to abandon it. And I think that from a tournament standpoint, again, I can't really talk about specifics, but I can say that even with the low numbers that it has from a viewership standpoint right now, there are still a lot of organizations that are putting together events for the future. And that's a great sign. Like, if you can have third-party interest putting money into it and having big events, then that helps. So
Dark Ecologist says future tournament support with prize pools is a poor marketing name. Yeah, it wasn't ideal. Yeah. That's why they brought us in, was to work on that kind of stuff.
I mean, they had a graphic, and they had talked to us about numbers and stuff. They just didn't have like the name finalized and the branding all done. Like
or any casters chosen.
Yeah, no, like that's also worth noting too. Like, when they told us back then, like Justin and I, it's not like we knew we were casting or anything. That actually got contracted out, and him and I were both shocked that we were chosen. And then and
actually only chosen for the first weekend.
Yeah, we were only chosen for the first weekend. And then after our very first rehearsal, we were shocked they even let us back the next day. It was so bad.
It was a fucking train wreck, dude.
It was so
like Derek had me walk like 5 miles, and I'm wearing like pants that are falling off my ass, and like some sweaty. No, I'm wearing a t-shirt with my face on it. And like, so it's California in fucking July or whatever, so I'm sweating my balls off, and I've just walked like across a bridge over the 405 into this industrial park, or something like that. And I open the door, and I'm just gross. I'm like, I'm the Justin Larson. and fit as fuck Derek here is like, yeah, I was trying to get him some workout in, oh, excuse me, like, is the beach this way, like, and I'm just like dying. And then we proceeded to fucking suck for 4 hours of rehearsals.
But you're hitting the gym now yourself, so pretty soon
you're
going to be running laps around me.
I have lost some weight, yeah. I have. I've been working out. Ian Bet says, hey, we can make fun of Hand of the Gods, but I'm pretty sure we also just made a bunch of balance changes because of Reddit, which I used to make fun of them for. Monka S.
The difference, one, I agree with you, but the difference, Ian, is that nowhere did Sparky Pants or Bethesda like literally tweet out like, vote on a card for us to balance change.
Yeah.
Like, they actually did a public vote. If that doesn't say like we have no idea what we're doing, then I don't even.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
To be fair, too, like we both played Hand of the Gods, and because it seemed exciting, and for the first couple games, it is fun, kind of, and then you realize that it's not that like you're just new and that's why everything sucks. It's because the game is just fucking garbage.
Sorry, I accidentally covered your face for a minute. I was trying to open something up. Because Pete said he was really sorry he missed me at the Frankfurt airport. So,
yeah.
If he has like time during maybe a 3-hour window on the 12th, early in the morning, like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or something, I might be available. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think he's sleeping during that time.
Brett Steinbook. Anybody know anything about TES Blades? I've played it.
Yeah, I mean it got pushed back to.
I know I can say that.
To like spring of this year now. I think February or March or something. It was supposed to come out fall of last year. I know it's like supposed to be Q1 of this year now, but
yeah. Ian Bit says it was exciting from a kid who watched Yu-Gi-Oh standpoint because the cards were 3D. Honestly, the 3D board is what convinced me to actually spend money on that game. I spent about $40, I think.
Yeah, I think I was faster to be disenfranchised than you were because I was also playing Shardbound at the time, which I still stand by was a far superior game, but because it was done by like a smaller company, it just also folded, but it was really well done.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
Shunara says it's looking like July. No, maybe. 95395 says, thanks for all the content from you both. You guys have helped me with the Game Legends big time. Well, thank you very much, man. I'm sure it was more Derek who helped you with actually playing it, but I'm glad that we were able to be a part of your experience.
Yeah, no, I love hearing that stuff. We really appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Justin, I know this is entirely unrelated. This is the ill way, but is there any chance that you try putting together a token pants mage deck? So I've built a lot of pants decks over the last month, and mage, like, even though it seemed like it would be really good because of the interaction between, because you can generate so many pantsless Dunmer and Divine Fervor, it seemed like it would be great, but it actually was really clunky, and it turns out that deck just really wants Corsairship more than it wants Divine Fervor. And when you take out Divine Fervor from the picture, the only card you really want from yellow is Fifth Legion Trainer. And I've had a lot more success with that deck trying to play it as a combo deck than as a
like a Smork.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Because usually, if I can untap with a Gardener and a Corsairship in play, I can hit somebody for about 30 damage. So,
somebody had a really good question, and I wanna hear what you think. Angelus Salas asks, "What do you guys think the title of Toasty's next Reddit post will be?"
Oh no! Oh man!
You thought I was gonna skip that one, didn't you?
I wasn't gonna say it. People are passionate about the game, and I totally respect that everybody has different points of view about it. And I totally understand too, getting emotional about things that you care about. I think to a certain degree that's very healthy and suggests that you are balanced enough that you have interests outside of, yourself. You can put things outside of yourself. That said, constant shit on Reddit complaining about things is not super beneficial to the community at large, and there's a limit to how useful that sort of thing can be.
Also, there is here's my thing, right? You want to post feedback or something, have at it.
Yeah.
But once you've said your piece, you don't need to post daily or weekly.
I will say that his thread that got the response from
Josh.
Josh, was whatever about his post. I'm glad he shared his opinion. But Josh's response was super fucking insightful, and one of the greatest things I've read any developer post on the Legends Reddit ever.
Yeah, we should try to get him on. Like,
actually, you know what?
Preferably right around when Isle releases, because
I wonder if I could just he could probably ask him to just come to my house.
Right. But like, hear me out, right? He's the one developer that would have like worked on both phases of it.
Yeah.
So in terms of like high quality guests, if we wanted to actually do a good show for once, you know,
that's a really good idea.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I'll send him a message. People talking about Forsworn Looter. I like that card too. Ian says that the totally unfair subtext you took from Raptor's post was that they're going to try to combat 3-color with power creep.
I mean, that very well may be. Listen, even if you don't like Josh's response or you disagree with it, it was still one of the better like answers that we've ever seen, right? It was one of the most like honest and forthcoming.
Yeah, as far as seeing like behind the curtain, that was like one of the biggest behind the curtain looks we've ever had.
Yeah, because I remember when it was like posts on Direwolf and they would give us their like developer diary, like those weren't bad, but they were very good about not giving you any more than the bare minimum of like info you needed. I think we got more, you know, again, whether you agree with it or not, I think we got more out of that one response from Josh than we've ever gotten before. So
yeah, I agree. Dude, I've had the same fucking song stuck in my head for hours now. It's not one that goes, I'm special, or you're special, so special, and I want to have some of your attention, give it to me. You know that one?
I actually, I do not, but I feel like I need to learn it now so that we can hit up a karaoke bar.
Yeah. Dude, I've taken to singing opera while streaming, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's been pretty entertaining.
For you?
I mean, have you seen my content? Like I attended the Andy Kaufman School of Comedy. Like the jokes sort of make me laugh.
I would be able to dig up a link and post it in the chat, guys, but right now the place where I would go to look to find it the fastest would be Discord, and I'm using Discord to talk to Justin, so that's out for me.
I'll post the link real quick.
Justin will find it and post it. But, you know, I gotta be honest. This show hasn't been as much of a train wreck as I thought it was going to be after the long hiatus that we took.
Dude, I thought this was going to be the worst fucking night of my life.
I'm not saying that this is a, you know, one of our like top 5 shows, but
I think it's really good.
But it's not the worst show we've ever done. And I was a bit worried.
I totally agree.
Now, I believe next week, the goal was to try to do this on Friday.
I think it's going to be, I mean, like,
but
because it's the second episode. Wait, what?
Yeah. So I just got news today. I will not be available on Friday evening.
Oh, God damn it, dude.
So I don't know if we'll be able to do it on a Thursday, or maybe we'll have to like pre-record something or what. I'll contact you. But I will be in an airplane at the time we would normally do the show on Friday. I forgot how like time zones work.
That's fair. I mean, that's why I let you tweet out the announcement of the show every week.
Yeah. I forgot how like time zones work, and so when somebody else tells me like the 12th, turns out that means I might be traveling on the 11th my time. So yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But I mention it because I just wanted to say that this next week, stay tuned for like impromptu announcements, because we're gonna do something. I don't know what yet, but I'm not gonna.
Don't fuck this up, Derek.
Yeah, I'm not. One way or the other, we're gonna do something. Listen, it's not within my control, man.
Yeah. Chad is requesting that I sing Nickelback again.
Why would they want you to sing it when they could just look at this photograph? I mean, every time I do, it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Silverfuse, I will be outside of the United States again.
America needs his services once more.
I have to don some paramilitary gloves.
Yeah.
Get my uniform on that they let me keep. I need to do that as a sub goal for the stream where I put the uniform on again. I need to do that soon, I think.
If you make it out here, you understand that at some point we're dressing up in costumes together and filming a video.
Yeah, maybe I could bring this out, right? The old, like, I could just bring this and we could get you your own, like, you know, you were talking about the whole, like, draped in the American flag thing, but my costume actually did have an American flag on it. I was repping, man.
They are fucking around.
Yeah, if I make it out there, potentially sometime in March that I can't talk about, but that would be amazing if I was in Denver around March. We would at a minimum need to do something where we film shenanigans. Absolutely,
we will. Would. Can you believe? I'm like the guy who they're like, he has the nuclear codes.
Yeah, it would be kind of. It would actually be really funny if we lived closer. There's so many better skits for things that we could do. Like I'm already imagining, like if we ever got to do a card reveal, we could have somebody like interrogating us, and I'm being super hardline and evasive, and you're just like giving it up every time. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm like,
hit him again.
Yeah.
He knows.
I'm like giving name, rank, and serial number, and you're like giving the full text of the card as responses.
Absolutely.
Oh,
dude, one time I got arrested. Right, I was in Butler County, Kansas. Just like it was like 3 a.m. I pulled over for having a taillight out. My car's full of drugs, so I get arrested. I get taken to jail, and I'm sitting like handcuffed, getting fucking interviewed, and they're like, "Where'd you get these drugs?" I was like, "You know, of course it started with like what drugs," and then they're like, "You know," they set them in front of me. They're like, "These, they were in your car," and I'm like, "You know what, man? I bought them at a party. Like, I don't know who sold them to me. You know, like I can't answer your questions or anything." Like, well, we're gonna give you a few hours to figure out like where, try to remember where you got them from. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so like I go lay down in this cell for like 6 hours, whatever. I wake up and cops banging on my door, and they come on out again, and they're like, they've got like now they've like gone through my whole car, and they've got a bag of fucking needles.
Yeah,
and they're like, this is felony, like this right here, and yeah, because I think like all they found was like pot and mushrooms and stuff, and they're like, this is a fucking felony. Well, like so I'm fucking diabetic, type 1 diabetic, right? So I was like, those are actually my diabetic needles. Like you're gonna have to just like drop this line of questioning. And they're like, you're not diabetic. I'm like, no, I'm definitely diabetic, dude. Like like I 100% assure you, like I'm diabetic. Like I mean, there's also insulin in the car, right? And they're like looking at each other, right? And like, of course the needles weren't there for my diabetes, but like,
well,
like, right. But like, so I'm just like, I see my out. I'm like, I'm gonna argue my way out of fucking jail today. And they're going back and forth about this. And the long and short of this is that it turned out that in the arrest report, the reason for my arrest wasn't listed as possession of drugs. It was listed as felony possession of paraphernalia, right? And because I couldn't be charged with felony possession of paraphernalia because, like...
You're diabetic.
Because I'm diabetic and I had a right to have needles, even if that's not why I had them. Like... And the arrest report only listed that as the charge. They let me go. It was awesome.
Oh.
They kept my drugs. But... Like, we could charge you with the rest of this, but we're not going to bother with it. I'm like, no, you just illegally fucking detained me. Like, that's not, you're not charging me with the rest of this.
I mean, they didn't illegally detain you. They just didn't write enough down. They were like, this is enough. This guy's a drug addict. We don't need to go the extra mile. And then...
Yeah, it was pretty great.
They tried to get you, but you hit a first room prophecy.
I did. That's exactly what fucking happened, dude. That is exactly what happened. Yeah. Ian says that would have been interesting if they gave the drugs back. Nah, that never happened. Shinara wants us to talk more about the mechanic of mining. How did that work again? Oh yeah.
Every time you emote, it triggers mining.
The first time you emote every turn, you're gonna trigger your card's mining abilities.
Oh no, we very specifically worded it so it was not first time. So if you spammed emotes, the more salt inducing you were, the more powerful your cards became. Like I left that off on purpose.
Yeah, that's right. That was pretty fucking great. Your husband's from Leon. That's awesome, Silverfuse. I spent time in the Butler County Jail, and then there's the research and diagnostics unit for the Kansas prison system is in Butler County as well, so I was there too. Spent a lot more time in that county than I ever needed to.
Well, I think we're
Darker
gonna...
College just wants to hear police interrogation stories. Tune in next episode. I'll tell you another one.
I was gonna say, let's give a last call because I know Justin is starting to get tired.
Yeah, plus, that is true.
Plus, I also have a lot of editing.
I have class in fucking 9 hours.
Yeah, I have a lot of editing I have to do as well. Still before the end of the night. But let's give a last call for questions.
Dude, I'm in professional legal and ethical studies right now, and it is the most dry fucking class I've ever taken. They get decent ice cream for their inmates. I only got one meal. I got a breakfast while I was in there. It was Aramark, I think. Angelo Solis, what is your favorite card in all of Legends? I've decided my favorite card in all of Legends is Shulk Fabricant.
That's your favorite, huh?
I've just decided that I like that it encourages you to build a certain way. Like there's a payoff for it. It's a really high value card. It's functional without the ability triggering. I just think it's a great card.
That's fair. I mean, I usually default to Nord Firebrand because I think it's one of the more elegantly designed ones, even if it creates a million problems for the game as well. All of those problems are also all of the reasons that I think I love it. But like outside of my stock, like I always answer Nord Firebrand. It's really tough. I tend to like cards that seem like really simple at first, but are like big impact cards on the way the game is played. So like Lightning Bolt is one that stands out to me that I really like. It's really plain, really simple, but kind of exemplifies a lot of what makes Legends Legends. It has prophecy. It's flexible. I also tend to like stuff that deals with the lanes, right? Anything that like plays up what makes Legends Legends, I think is good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like Dune Smuggler, like base set, like I would have probably said Dune Smuggler was my favorite card. But it was also broken back then.
Yeah. I don't know why. That's like the hardest card for me to remember how it works.
Well,
I routinely fuck up that card.
It's because you've spent so many hours playing it the other way.
Right. And then after it got changed, I stopped playing it entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I draft it occasionally, or something like that, I'm like, I fuck it up routinely.
Yeah, what you have to remember now is that, and I think, honestly, that Smuggler, like, doesn't fit it as well as a name anymore. So, like, the way that I used to remember it before was that, like a good Smuggler does, it helps you get your things, like, through customs or whatever, if you will, right? So, like, if you were trapped in a bad lane, like, it got you out. But now it still gets you out, but it's more like it, like, bounces you. Because like it goes away, the creature goes away from it. So
it's like it's card disadvantage so often because whatever you're moving out of harm's way is just gonna kill your fucking Smuggler.
Yeah, if anything, I think it should be now like a Dune yo-yoer because now my favorite plays are in a lane where you're not trying to abandon the lane, but instead like you bounce something to the other lane and then you immediately bring it back so that you get like the +2/+2. Right? Yeah. You combine it with Shadow Shift, something like that. That's the way I play it most often now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it used to be... Used to be really good. If you guys didn't play back before it was changed, all of the move creatures, so Smuggler and the one with Prophecy, they used to just let you move a creature, but not based on where it was played. So like if you played, you know, if you played an early creature into like the field lane, for example, and then they dropped a guard in front of you, you could play Dune Smuggler in the shadow lane and pull the creature to it. So now they're like in a lane that is not worth defending at all, and you still have all of your creatures and like the buff and all the power in a brand new lane. And so it was good. Manticore, Ian says Manticore got nerfed 3 times. I think it was just twice, right?
Yeah, I can only remember 3 times, unless it was nerfed like before May of 2016.
Wait, you remember a 3rd time? I only remember twice. I remember...
twice. That's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said, yeah.
So, yeah, it used to blow up a creature in any lane, and then it was changed to just the lane it was in, and then it lost guard. And then, I guess the 3rd one was the loss of respect.
Yeah. It did lose a lot of respect.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, like the nerf to Brilliant Experiment was a consequence of its interaction with Manticore, I think.
Yeah, 100% that was. And potentially Marak as well when you had the ring.
Yeah.
I think you're confusing Manticore with Nakreen.
Yeah.
Nakreen went from 10 to 9. I mean, it's not a nerf, but like the rest of it was a nerf.
It also kind of got caught up in the whole Manticore thing, though, actually. Just because it was such a huge tempo swing.
Yeah. Yeah, that really was. There was a lot of things about decks back then that were kind of crazy.
Yeah. I would like, you know, when Brawls, if Brawls come back, Gauntlets, whatever the fuck they're called, I'd like to see one where you get to play with like day 1 open beta versions of cards, just to kind of remind people.
Just like a time travel brawl.
Yeah, like just core set and just and no monthly reward cards. With all the cards at their stats at release. I mean, like, you know, the first like 4 hours, the guys who are playing Archer are beating everybody, and then the guys who play Control Mage kind of take over.
Maybe. Or maybe somebody discovers like the new OP strategy that nobody found back then.
I mean, Goblin Assassin was good. You know, Action Assassin. There are a lot of different stuff, but I think Archer was better than all of this.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Action Assassin was pretty good back then.
Yeah. Oh, apparently Hearthstone already did that. Anyway. Good times.
There it is!
I'm fucking falling asleep, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I think this is a top 10 episode, though.
Top 10, wow. You know, we've done quite a few of these, right?
Yeah.
Like 48 of them.
That's crazy. Huh, we really should do something special for our 50th episode. At this schedule, at the rate we're going these days, though, that's not coming out till like fucking June. Actually, it's looking like July.
There you go. You almost missed it.
There we go.
Yeah. No, I mean, it'll be a little bit better once I'm not taking like, 10 and 11 day trips. So
yeah, I understand.
Sorry.
Nah, you're all right, motherfucker.
We might still be able to make one of these work when I'm traveling as soon as I get a laptop. I still don't own a laptop. So like if I could broadcast while I was there, then I would say whatever, let's just do it. But
Dark Ecologist says, sadly, this is in the top 10. That's a pretty accurate reflection of our material.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. See you guys on the ladder.